Good morning. My name is Yori Folani. Thank you very much for joining us. And my guest this morning is Dr. David Okoro. Dr. Okoro is the Chief Security Strategist, Institute for Security and Governance Studies. A fine morning to you, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Folani. How is Lagos today?
Very well, thank you very much. Please call me Yori. Now, we want to look at the security agenda for the incoming administration today. This is one administration is ending and the new one is taking off on Monday. So we've sort of, seen the security agenda perhaps, even if we're not specialists, we're not academics, but most ordinary people would have said, look, whatever the security agenda is, we still had security headaches. So what would you recommend that is essential in the agenda of the incoming administration, given the security challenges that we've experienced right through this concluding administration?
Well, once more, thank you for having me. If we look at where we are coming from and our current realities as a people, you will know that perhaps profoundly the most critical factor that is affecting our nation today is issue of insecurity, because it is agreed that there really can be no development without security. And so if you ask me, our current reality shows that very little can be done, like you can see around our country, if there is no security. But if you ask me now, what are the things that we need to do, I'll give you some, I'll quickly run them down. But just to let you know that the security sector operates within an ecosystem. We operate within an ecosystem. The security sector is affected by political decisions. It's affected by the economy. It's affected by the culture, the social factors that we see. So if you ask me straight away for the incoming president, is to say that, number one, what he requires is that courage and political will to take political decisions at the highest level, have the political courage to follow those decisions to conclusion. This is so particularly now that we know that the mandate is being challenged in court, and there are issues in our nation. And so this is at a time more than ever before where he will require political will to take steps, because the problem facing us are intractable, the security problem facing us are entrenched, and there are all manner of issues around it. So taking political decision, firm political decision, or firm political will to take the right, courageous political decision is number one factor. Whether it's in the area of appointments, whether it's in the area of taking those decisions, political will is critical here. The second really is to say that the president must be able to give us a very clear vision of where he's taking us. Because security, these are the foundations upon which our security is based. We must know where he's taking us. What is the preferred future that he's taking us to? The child in the primary school should have an understanding of where Mr. President is taking us to the preferred future. The taxi driver should understand. The market woman should understand. The policeman on the road should understand. Oh, this is a new president coming. Where does he intend to take us? And how does he intend to take us to that destination? That must be very clear and must be communicated very clearly to everybody.
Talking about security, especially, or are you talking about governance generally?
No. I'm talking about security, because for security, you need to give people hope. You need to give people hope for tomorrow. You need to give people reason to even support security measures. You need to give people hope to cooperate and collaborate with the security agencies. And it is what people see and what they hear that will give them that hope to be part of what government wants to do. Because government, you cannot provide security without the people. So you need to carry the people along. And how do you carry the people along if they don't know where you are taking them? So it is important that you have very clearly where people are. are going. And then, of course, the other point is he's going to make an appointment. So it is critical for security that the right people are put in the right positions. Of course, because of the pressure, people who want to be in power and all that, that's going to be a concern. And the kind of appointment that is made, whether to the security sector, political sector, and others, are going to be critical. They are going to tell the people whether this government is really concerned about moving forward, or they want to take us, keep us where we are, or I mean, even regress. So issue of a political appointment is very critical. And then I want to say, before I stop at this junction, to say that the president must decide early enough how he wants to use power. Does he want to use this power as a shield for the people, or he want to use power as a sword? Now, when you use power as a shield, it means that you are able to use power to protect the people from the vagaries of life, vagaries of insecurity, vagaries of economic pain, vagaries of political decisions that hurt the people, that hurt the economy. So again, the president must make up his mind early enough in order to create that ecosystem, that right environment for security, by saying, look, I want to use power either as a shield or as a sword. I think that at this point, maybe you can take it from there.
Okay, thank you very much, Doctor. Now, this very first point you have mentioned interests me, the courage/political will to do the needful as it relates to security. Because we have been hearing about this, when I say we, talking about the ordinary man that you spoke about, the policeman on the doing his job, the market woman, the office worker, in terms of knowing exactly where we are. We've been hearing that the nature of our security challenges, especially now I'm talking about with the terrorists, who continue to be able to, take the initiative, set up the initiative. We have heard when we have wondered that why are these non-government actors giving government the might of government resources, they run around like this. And to paraphrase the answers that most people seem to have, it is that, well, you see, we're all Nigerians, even Boko Haram, even all these terrorists, and so we have to be careful. Let us not be accused of anything. The whole world is watching. So we can't, as it were, go all out and do everything that we can within our capabilities, because at the end of the day, it's essentially a family affair. So I don't know, is that what you, because we've been hearing that if the order had been given, it's almost like terrorism could have been severely restricted, if not wiped out altogether. But that would be a sort of no mercy kind of policy for anybody who is fighting the state.
Well, I think this is the choice we have to make as a people. Clearly, our military and security forces have the capacity to quickly degrade all sorts of... Look, we are dealing with an internal security situation, and the actors, the non-state actors are known. They are not... The security nature, the security community, the intelligence community in Nigeria is well-versed as to what is happening. They are well-versed as to who are creating the problem for us. They are well-versed as where they are located. They have all the information about them. But this is where I said it is the matter of political will. And so when the intelligence community, when the security agencies present their finding before government and required to take steps, taking those steps will be profound. It will have an impact. You have a political impact, you have ethnic impact and all that. The leader, are they willing? I give you an example. We know, for instance, that there are about the bandit, the armed bandit that are terrorizing us as a people. They are known, their leadership are known, and they are about, if you like, in the region of 7,000. This is what we are told. We find that there are about 7,000 of them in the north central, in the northwest, and part of northeast, and a part of north central. These are the numbers, and then if you ask the Nigerian military to take them out, of course it's not difficult. They are in the forest. Air Force can do a good job. We have the resources, but the issue is, do we have the political will? Has the previous administration deployed or shown the political will? If you ask me, I would say no. And incidentally, that is the key we require. We need to ask the military or the security forces, go after these people, take them out. But the question is, when the results begin to come, when the visuals begin to come of people coming in body bags, people coming in large numbers, people that have been killed, the bandits that have been killed, when the numbers begin to come and certain people begin to react to say, look, we want to wipe out our people, will the president have the political will to continue in that direction? So that is the concern. We know that you can't say that because they are Nigerians like any other person, that they have license to kill, to maim, and then they are free to walk the street. We are a nation operating under rules, under laws. We are not animals. So if an individual decides to take up arms against the state and kill citizens, there should be a point at which the line is drawn to say, if you cross this line, there will be consequence. But as I say to you now, there is no consequence because of certain political concentration that certain people have. And these have not been hidden by government officials in this outgoing regime that says, after all, these are people, we cannot send the military after them. So this is where the new president will have to draw a line, whether he wants to do what is needed to retain the security and integrity of our nation, or we stay where we are and continue to regress. Because as long as there's no security in our nation, you can't develop. So these are the decisions he has to make. Incidentally, he's the Jagaban, you know. He is the leader of warriors. That is what it means. Is he going to bring that courage to bear in managing Nigeria?
Well, indeed. You know, because, well, I'm happy that you were able to authenticate some of the kind of informal thinking that people have with your explanation. And therein is the problem. If it is what it is now for the very reason you stated, that, look, these people who are giving Nigeria, corporate Nigeria, a headache, they are for some parts of the country. They're not external people. And there might be a pushback from there where, you're going to wipe out all our people. Well, I don't know how much easier it will be for a president that is not from that area. Of course, the president is from all over Nigeria, theoretically speaking. He's the president of all. I'm wondering if it is going to be any easier for decisions such as we are talking about to be made in the light of what might have, you know, hampered a bit previous people who had taken a stab at it. Say, well, it's unfortunate that our people are misbehaving. It might be seen as no more than misbehaving. To now come up and say, look, you can't, I guess what you're saying, Doctor, is that you can't, as it were, carry on as if the new president is Italian, for instance, or that he's Australian. He is still Nigerian. And I guess that is going to factor into how we are able to do, how well we are able to do the job that we have. So this is a big challenge. And it seems like, from what you've explained, it's not going to go away anytime soon. The job is not going to be easier because it's not just being bloody-minded about removing a problem. I guess that's what you're saying. That you were talking about the political will, the courage to do the right thing. It's not difficult for the Nigerian army if they get the order to go ahead and do the needful. But these are the challenges. So this is going to be with us, but you've put the caveat that depending on the political will and courage that is demonstrated in future, and that will largely impact how better this gets, right?
Yes. But I was also going to add, see, banditry that we are seeing that have grown to become a monster is a regular thing that you find everywhere, where you have rural criminals with cutlass and other dangerous weapons going around to steal, to harass people. Now, what has happened is that banditry have been allowed to fester in the Northwest. So, because banditry have been allowed to fester, it has grown out of proportion. The danger really is that if you don't curtail it at a point, it will continue to grow, and it will consume everybody. Now, we have an estimate of, say, 7,000 people that are involved in banditry. Because they are well-resourced, they kidnap for ransom, they are where they are mining, and they are involved in mining activities, they are getting more resources, they have more money to recruit, they have more money to bring in weapons, they can only increase in number, they can only expand their scope of operation. And so if nothing is done, these people have the capacity to threaten the security and well-being of our entire nation. So this is where the danger is. Do we want to sit down because of fear of taking certain actions until the problem becomes impossible to deal with, which is what we actually get into? Because some people have tried in some states to say, okay, let us enter into some form of agreement with these bandits. And it never worked. Instead of working that way, the bandits are continuing to increase in strength and in numbers. And they are recruiting. If you go to Niger State, they are recruiting every day. If you go to Katsina State, Kaduna State, they are recruiting. So that means they are increasing. So it's like a cancer. If either you make up your mind as a nation and as a leader to say, let us cut off this cancer at this point, or we, because of fear, of discomfort or political reaction or pushback, we allow the problem to get to the level that ultimately you have to start talking about amputation. So it is a problem that the earlier it is, somebody had that courage and political sagacity and, if you like, wisdom to deal with it. Otherwise, look, you are talking about 7,000 people putting at risk millions and millions of people. You know, the Northeast, this Northwest is about how many millions, how many tens of millions. And you are talking about just 7,000 people putting the whole of the North in jeopardy. You can't travel. You can't travel without fear. You can't travel without apprehension. There are stuff you can't do. I used to live in the North. But now when you are going back to those places, you have to think twice. Do I really need to go there? You know, it has to be extremely important for you to go. So do we want to continue that way? Do we want to continue to run a nation where every day our news is flashing all over the world as a place where children again have been kidnapped? And by the way, several children have been kidnapped by these bandits are still in captivity. Children 12 years old, 11 years old that were in school, that dared to go to school, they are still in captivity. And nobody is lifting a finger to help them. And so do we want that kind of country? Or we are going to have somebody who will come and damn the consequence and say, look, we will exercise this cancer. We'll put a stop to this cancer once and for all before it spreads and kill everybody.
You know, what you're saying is probably the way, well, I would see it that way. A lot of Nigerians would also see it that way. But at the end of the day, it's going to be the person who the buck stops on his table that is going to have to take that particular decision. Now, if you were to put on your political cap, Dr. Koro, I wonder how difficult or how easy you think that is, because no man is an island. No one people in our Nigerian context here is an island. So if there's going to be a pushback, even if it is no more than a resentment, at the very top of the program, you were speaking about some people still, you know, carrying on as if they can affect the outcome of the INEC declaration of the winners of this election. So those people, you can say that their attitude is probably not all it should be to the incoming administration. So when you begin to look at all of this, and by the time people with a certain kind of grievance join with other people who have a different kind of a grievance, and all these people come together, we're looking at a different kind of security threat hybrid there, aren't we? So maybe this is one of the reasons why someone said that he doesn't admire whoever is coming on to be the next president, given the expectations that are very, very high and that will have to be. This is something of a juggling act, isn't it, Doctor?
Well, the Jagaban, the incoming president, applied for the job, and at the time he was applying for the job, I think he has a fair idea of what the job entails. But like, if you ask me, to every concern, to every security situation or any situation we have in life, in the midst of the crisis or the problem, there's always a solution. There's always a light in the tunnel. For me, what is needed to be done in spite of the pushback that is expected, the current disagreement in the country, is to say that the path the president should take is to build political consensus for what he wants to do. It's not everybody that supports the activities of criminals because of certain gains. There are many people in that part, in the northern part of the country, that are completely dissatisfied with the current security situation in the north. So what he needs to do is to build political consensus to support the whatever military and security operations that are going to be taken. There are quite a number of people. So it's to search out those people who will support the cleaning up of the environment, clearing the northern part of the country and part of the south, by the way, of all these criminalities, and then take a step to do it. Recall that we had a similar experience when President Jonathan was there, and terrorism was growing in Borno State. I recall that there was this order to start military action, and the elders of Borno State challenged the president that you were killing our people. And so what did President Jonathan do? He pulled back. But what ultimately happened was that the same terrorists who turned their guns and started killing the very elders, the Borno elders and senior citizens, they were killing them from house to house. It got to a time that, again, the same people who said Jonathan was going to kill all their people were now the ones that say, oh, Mr. President, you are allowing us to be killed one by one without taking steps. So it is better to err on the side of, say, look, let's dare and do what is right. Knowing that when you do what is right, everybody will be happy. Look, the problem in the Northeast, the terrorism we face eventually, will not have gotten to that momentous proportion it got to if it had been nipped in the bud at the beginning. There were political pushback, but ultimately it didn't do anybody any good because the Borno people suffered it more than ever. So in the North, as I said, there are a lot. There is actually a majority of voices that want this security to end, and they are willing to support government. So it is for the president to seek out those voices and those people who have sympathy, who are willing to ensure that the whole North return to safety and security, to start by working with them, and then the scope can now be larger and bring in as much people as possible. But you must understand that there's never going to be a time you're going to get 100% consensus. You're going to have a sizable proportion of people say, no, we don't want to leave our people alone, don't touch them. But then this is where the president's decision it has to come. Do you want the country under you? Because if as a president, the Constitution talks about welfare and security of the people as being the major responsibility of government. So if as a president, your people are not safe, of course you can't talk of welfare where there is insecurity. So that's why I said the president is, he has a job that is cut out in his front, but it is doable. It is doable with the right strategies, with the right approaches. It's doable. We can have a nation where everybody will queue behind the president and he takes decisions and he will be supported. I think that's what he needs to do. No matter what the opposition are, and I know that there are people who will be willing to support him if the right approaches are made.
And, why I like so much what you kicked off with, which is the courage and political will to do what is needed. This is complicated further by what we are hearing, allegations we are hearing that, as a matter of fact, politicians are really, the back end, so to speak. So it is alleged that it's not as if there are no politicians backing these people, because everybody has a particular interest. Not everybody is of the same moral fiber. And so when you have politicians who the ordinary primary six people would think that, oh, a politician is part of governance, so there's no way he would support that kind of thing. But we are hearing that, on the contrary, politicians are often behind a lot of these issues. But as you said, the incoming president, Jagaban, you were interpreting the meaning of his title, the leader of warriors. He must have a plan, and he probably has an attitude about it already. But the fact that politicians are involved, well, that's going to be something of a challenge as well. Now, the Northeast, Northwest, the North generally, that's not the only place where we have these security challenges. It might be because of the nature of it, this is what we're experiencing, but surely attention needs to be paid to other parts of the country. People seem to be worried now that, look, let this not spread. There are people who are saying that, are you sure it isn't beginning to spread? Comment on that, please.
No, if you ask for banditry, of course, is spreading. I told you it's like cancer. And if you do not arrest cancer in good time, it spreads. So what happens is the bandits have been able to build a structure of supplies. They have been able to build a structure of camps, of operation bases in certain part of the north. They are spreading. If you go to Kogi State, the bandits are active. Most times, these operations don't come boom, like that. It takes a process. It takes a process of settling down, setting up structures, training, mastering the environment. So gradually they are in Kogi State, and, and if they are in Kogi State, that's a divider. They can reach the south, they can reach the north. So if anybody sits in Lagos or sits in Port Harcourt and think that, oh, we are safe, it's not true, because, look, banditry might not come in the form of what you see in the north. It might come in a form of mutation. It will mutate and it will appear in other parts of the country, in other dimensions. And one of those dimension manifestations you see is kidnapping. And so when they build capacity to be able to supply logistics to different parts of the country, put their men there, who says that they are not there already? It's just that, I don't want to say more things about that, but it's just that they have not decided to operate the way we expect. So if you are thinking that it's the way banditry has happened in the north, that is how this criminality will manifest in the south, then of course you are playing. They have the capacity to get to those places. And I'm talking about issues of the fact that it's not only in the north that we have issues. Another very sore point is the southeast. And if you ask me, the situation in the southeast was grossly mismanaged. Again, because of the approach we decided to adopt. For issues that are purely internal security, issues that are purely political, we decided to adopt the military approach to try to address it. And then we escalated the issue. And today, you're talking about a crisis of significant proportion in the southeast. You see what is happening in Anambra State. Imo State is virtually ungovernable now. You are talking about issues in Abia State. And you said to me, why don't we have all sorts of security issues? But like I said, essentially the Southeast was a political issue. And I have spoken about this on different platforms to say, look, the Southeast is a political issue that requires the building of consensus. It requires government to come down from its high horse to come to the level of the people to say, look, what is the crisis here? What is the problem here? And then, if they can synthesize what the issues are, you discuss, see the give and take, so that we can have peace in that area. But rather than do that, we chose to take the military option, we chose to take the kinetic option, and it has escalated. And now security doesn't seem to be able to address it. So we also have the issue in the southeast. And I say to the president that is coming, again, this requires engagement. This requires understanding the people. This requires talking to the people, putting them in confidence, letting them trust you, because the issues of trust are always there. People don't trust government. Government says one thing and does another. Even for the bandits, if they tell you there are issues where that government deceived them, and so they decide to take up arms. So at the end of the day, you find that the approach of government to these issues are a situation of that.